let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn, good whatever, wherever you find yourself. Welcome to another episode, actually, another season of the Power series. I'm yours truly, Samuel Ajani. Yes, it's been months since we went off air. A couple of things here and there, some personal, some technical, some all the awesome stuffs that could happen to any live stream. But the good news is we're back with a banger, back with new content, back with awesome interviews. You name it, you think about it. In today's episode, I'm going to be telling you about what to expect on the show for this new season, and then also we'll take a dive into your first session on the episode on how to create custom connectors. Now, when we come back, I'm going to give you more on that. Stick and stay with me, and let's have some fun. Yes, we are back. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time joining, welcome to the family. If you like what you see or if you heard good things about the show, please make sure you're hitting the subscribe button right here. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell so that anytime I go live, you're going to get content. Welcome back. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome to you all across the globe, wherever you're finding yourself watching this episode. Thank you for the support, all this month or the past year. It's been awesome. It's been good feedback. It's been a lot of interesting conversations behind the scenes. This new episode or this new season promises to have a lot more of that, more interesting dialogue, interviews, good hands on, lots of one on ones, lots of practical hands on sessions. We're going to do that. Now, the other thing that's going to happen in this season on the Power series, I'm going to outline them. Now, once I'm done with the outline, I would go ahead and then we'll get into today's show on creating a custom connector, something that a lot of people have been asking me how to do. So we're going to do that. But before we get into it, put a couple of announcements out of the way and then we can get into it. So first of all, I'm embarking on Operation 10,000 subscribers. So if you watch the show over the past year and you liked it and you want to see this channel grow, see more content, please, support the channel by just subscribe right here. Subscribe, like, share, invite people to join. I'm hoping to get about 10K subscribers by the end of this quarter so that we can scale and grow the channel. The second thing I'm doing or working on is a project I call Tech for Wheels, which is me taking technology to the most deprived areas of the country of Ghana and then subsequently to other places on the continent. So I'll be putting more details on the show and then also on my social media and then website. So keep an eye on that and see how you can support. I'll be really, really be grateful. And thank you for all those that are joining. If you join, just say a hi so that I can, acknowledge your presence on the show. Um, Thank you very much. Now, some of the things to look out for on this season, from this season. Mr. Amwating, Operation 10K. Thank you, Maya, for joining the show. Yeah, awesome. It's always nice to see you on the show. I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback after the session, so thank you so much for all the support behind the scenes. Most people don't know, but hey, thank you so much. So yeah, like I mentioned, there's going to be what to expect for this season. You're going to expect a lot of giveaways. And talk of giveaways, let me actually take you here. You can see what's happening here. So we have lots of cool swags. The low coders. That's a nice notebook proudly sponsored by Microsoft. Donna and your team really appreciate this. The Power Africa team really appreciate it from Microsoft. So I have lots of this to give away. And then we also have this, cool t-shirts. As you can see, low coders. So, so lots and lots and lots of these stuffs, coming on the show. We're going to be giving a lot of this away on the show. Simply subscribe. Watch out for the question of the day. Watch out for Kahoot for the month. Answer a few questions. So just subscribe, and then you might be a few of the people to get this. Some of the cool swags you just saw. The other thing is that make sure you're participating or joining your local Power Platform communities. We have one, the Accra Power Platform community. Join us anywhere you are in the world. Join the local community, and now it's even virtual. So be on the lookout for all these global or local events happening in your area and join them and have some fun. Yeah. Then um, I've said it in a couple of my streams already. I said it on IoT Tuesday. I said it on Friday, Demystify Tech. I'm going to say it again because it's going to start from next week. Actually, we've already entered a new week. It's going to start from the new week. Now, if you look behind me, this shelf, let me actually get out of shot so you can see this shelf here, and then that glass board. I'm going to be putting some cryptic stuff on there depending on the show I'm running. So, for instance, on Power Series, there might be something unique I'll probably write on that glass board or put on a shelf. It's up to you to figure that out. And either during the show or after the show, tweet at me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tweet or comment with what you see there, which is relating to the show. And then you stand a chance of, let's go back here, of getting one of these cool swags. Nice notebooks and the shirt, you stand a chance of getting one. And there's some other cool stuff as well. I don't know, where did I hear the stickers? Yeah, lots and lots of stickers also to be worn. So that is out of the way. And then also this time there's going to be lots of interviews. Like lots of guests are going to come on. April Dan is going to come back. Well, let's see. Some I won't give it all away, but a new agent is coming from the camp of Alan. A new agent is coming. I won't disclose it, but once they come on the show, you're going to see them. So, going to be a lot of interesting conversations and also hands-on demos and all that. My boss Mariano is coming back on the show, so look out for him. Yeah, lots of stuff, and then also we're going to in this month or in this episode, sorry, in this season, I get a lot of questions on what we want to start. How do we start? So I'm going to be going through a lot of back to the basics and then also intermediate to advanced. That it's going to be a combination of what's happening on the live stream, which is going to be carried on to my Discord server, carried on to my blog, and then carried on to my website. So you need to follow keenly, and sometimes also I'll be dropping things into I'll be dropping short videos onto this YouTube channel. That's why it's very important that you subscribe. Kwamina Edmondson, super, super, super. Yes, please pass through, boss. It's been long overdue. And if you realize you're seeing some kind of like blue haze coming from here, I'm doing some work with my lighting just to make it a bit calm and sweet. So in the next couple of episodes, you'll be seeing changes happening in my background. So welcome, welcome. Yeah. So and also we're going to have opportunities to do monthly Q&As and some projects as well. So make a date with me on this show. If you don't subscribe, please do. Let's learn and have some fun. So with all that out of the way, what are we going to talk about today? So today we're going to be talking about custom connectors. So I had a question from a couple of people that says, hey, we know that Power Platform, especially Power Automate, you know deals with connectors. If you're not automators, there are lots of resources on my channel, on April's channel, I think on John's channel. Mariano has talked about it. I think Flojo has talked about it. Lots of the guys have talked about what a lot of have done stuff on Power Automate. Now Power Automate is a very simple code, low code, no code way of building business processes and flows. And then the good thing, one of the how do you call it, the bedrocks or the basis for flows is our connectors. All right. So connectors allow you to connect your flows or link your flows to external services. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of connectors already in Power Automate. However, sometimes you might need some unique connectors or something peculiar to your use case that is not already there. You can build it once you understand how to make HTTP calls, whether you've used Postman or Insomnia or any of this HTTP client. You can actually create a custom connector. So today we're going to see how to create a custom connector. We'll probably pick just one very basic connector of one of these API websites and then build a custom connector in Power Automate. So let's get our hands and everything dirty. Let's get into it. And yeah, this cool background here is from Microsoft Bing. I have this thing that gives me new background every day. So if you're interested in that, check it out. And don't forget, if you have any questions, just drop it in the chat. I will see it and answer it. and then we can have some fun. So let's go to flow.microsoft.com, and this should reroute. Now, if you have any questions about setting up and getting, access to Flow and all that, let me know. I have a blog post on how to get an Office 365 dev account, developer account that gives you some access to Flow as well. However, Flow and all the other, services on Microsoft, you can have trial services that allow you to build this unique Flow. I'm going to use one of my demo tenants, enterprise tenants to do that, to show you the power of it. But you can go there and try it for free, and then learn to create some of these awesome workflows. Now, Flow is very powerful. You can build different business process automations with it. You can do, I have this thing here with my flick button, which is actually changing the light on my face on this side, and this is running through a Flow. So if we go to this with me, if you join my sessions and you go through this with me, there's a lot to learn. So keep an eye for some of these things. So yeah, let's sign in and let's see what do we have right here. And yeah, if you have any questions, please keep the questions coming so that I can answer the questions for you, all of you joining from Facebook, from Twitter, from Periscope to how do you call it, to Facebook. Thank you for joining. It's always fun to see you guys. Don't be shy. Say hi so I can give you a shout out. Keep it coming in. So this is the Flow, the Power Automate interface. All right. So if I zoom in a bit so you can see on the side here, you have all your things you can do here, your flows. You can create them, templates, connectors, your data. You can also use the AI builder. There are things like process advisor. I'm going to bring a lot of MVPs and a lot of people, power addicts, to come tell us stuff on all these things as we move on in this season. So keep an eye on it and join us when the time comes. So yeah, and if you look to this side, all right, if you look down here, you can see templates. All right, now templates are pre-made flows that you can pick and just make changes so that you move along with it. All right, there are lots of templates you can pick from. So if you're starting, and no, this session is not a getting started session. We're going to build custom connectors. So the concept is that you probably have some knowledge of it. If you don't, go check my channel. There are a lot of content there to get you started. If you want kind of like some guidance to how to get started, hit me up and I'll also share that with you. So today we're going to talk about connectors. If we go to connectors now, all right, what is going to happen is that it's going to show me, most of the popular connectors first, and then I can start searching for them or use a filter right here. So we have standard connectors and premium connectors. Shadrach, welcome to the show. Watching live from Tema, you are welcome to the show. Hope you are going to pick something from today's session to help your business. So I know that you're into e-commerce, so I actually have a scenario where someone goes to a website and says request for more info or request for quote. You can actually let that trigger a Microsoft Power Automate flow that sends you an email or get the content of the email, do some analysis, whatever you want to do. You could do that with Power Automate. So lot of interesting stuff. Junior, I know you're into music, so an example would be someone goes to tweet, send you something on social media, wants to find out how they can get, more information from you. You might not be always available to answer them. You can actually use Power Automate to, do that for you. So that's just an example. As for, Nanaya, you are the guru already, so you can't get into that. But if you have any question, ask me, and as we move along, I'm going to answer them and explain. So we have three types of connectors. We have the standard connectors, which come with your line, which pretty much free to use as part of the package, no extra cost. And then we have premium connectors. Premium connectors cost they cost, you need license, or they cost money to use the premium connectors. Sure, awesome, Shadrach. So the thing is that if you have a free account with Power Automate, you can use standard connectors, no questions asked. Premium connectors, if you're in a trial period, you can use them, but apart from that, they accrue charges. So be mindful of that. The third category of connectors is what we call the custom connectors. Now, these are connectors. So, for instance, connectors are like you say APIs or connections to other services, or endpoints to other services. So, for instance, there's Twitter here. There is I'm looking for very other popular ones. We have like Gmail, right? So these allow you to integrate Twitter functionalities into your application or into your business flow. I'm going to start with Twitter, a simple example. So if I'm building a solution and I want to incorporate, like Twitter, an example will be maybe when someone tweets hashtag, how do you call it? Hashtag power series, all right? I want to capture that and do something with it. So if you've developed applications that use third-party connectors, you realize that this is a bit hectic. You get API keys, you do a lot of things to get it connected. But in Power Automate, it's as simple as picking it. Let me actually go ahead and just create a very simple example with an existing connector, and then we can look at something. Just pick any API and then try to create our own custom connector and see how to do it. In the next episode, I'll show you how to create a custom connector. Actually, I'm going to show you how to create actions within a custom connector. All right. And then next week, we'll talk about triggers, how to build a trigger for a custom connector. So, yeah. So, and as we move on, I'll also be sharing tips on Power Platform, and especially depending on the topic we're talking on. So today, one of the things I'd always advise you on is start creating or migrating your flows into what we call solutions. Let me give you an example. You come here, you see solutions. Now, what solutions do is that they allow you to organize your flows into, I would say, logically. This is a logical organization of your flows, related flows. It also allows you to do things like DevOps or ALM on your flows, and also gives you, ability to share a lot of resources within the context of, let's say, a set of flows you're doing. So something you need to be doing most of. So let's go ahead and create a new solution, and I'll call this Power Series. And then I'll be putting all the flows we do. I'll be creating all the flows we do within the Power Series. Another thing to be mindful of is the environment in which you're creating your flows. Depending on your organization structure, you might have a sandbox environment, or you might have like a production or demo environment. So be mindful of the environment in which you create that. So yeah, it's taking a bit of a time here, but when that happens, we just create it. So whilst we're waiting for that to happen, I want to just explore. Okay, so let's call this Power Series. So that's the name, and then we're going to use the default publisher for this for the FL Logic default environment. So let's create this, and then with this, now we have that. So I should see Power Series here. So I can open Power Series, and from here I can create all my flows, and then it's going to properly organize this for me, and I can easily export the flows into other environments without a lot of challenges. So here I'm going to go to new, and then we'll do a cloud flow. So you can build flows in two ways, using the cloud flow, or we call the desktop, what we call the RPA, robotic process automation, that kind of like captures process or steps you do, and then replace them to extract information. So when you start to create a new flow, you get this. Now, at the heart of every flow is a trigger. The trigger is the starting point into your flow. What triggers this flow or this process to begin? That is what we call a trigger. Now, again, in today's session, the trigger is going to be a manual trigger. But then in next week's episode, I'll show you how to create one with a custom trigger using webhooks. How to trigger an event from your custom event. But in today's session, I'm going to show you how to actually manually invoke. It's going to be a manual, let's say, a custom connector invoked by a different process. So let's say if you tweet hashtag, let's say, Power Series, we're just probably going to invoke that particular let's say SDK, and then it's going to do something, or we can even allow it to tweet something. All right. So let's go ahead. So this is the interface. You're going to see all your connectors or built-in standard, premium, custom, and then things you've copied onto your clipboard. So that's how it looks like. And I just wanted to show how it's how a manual or simple one is done. So I can create flow that will be triggered, manual a manual one. So that's the starting point. I'm not going to add any inputs. It's just going to be triggered automatically. And then what I want to do is, so this is how you use connectors. All right. So I have indicated my starting step, which is I will manually trigger this. The second now, so flow is as simple as just clicking a button and determining what you want to do. So here, let's say I want to do something on Twitter. All right. So I'm going to come here and just start typing Twitter. And this is going to bring me right here, as you can see. This brings me, because I set it TWI, so there's GitHub, there's Twilio, there's Twitter. All these are custom. These are standard connectors already built into Power Automate. All right. So I want to use Twitter. The goal of this session is to create our own, so then we can see our custom connector and use it. So let's say for this test purposes, I want to use Twitter. So all I'm going to do is actually to select this. When I select this connector, I will see all the actions, just like you're seeing here. So you realize that for this one, you see that all the actions are shown here, right? And then I can pick the action I want when this trigger, which is when I manually trigger this, the next step is a Twitter action, which I'm going to pick. For the purpose of this session, I'm going to say, well, just tweet, all right? Just tweet, we're live on something, okay? So to do that, let me open another browser here. And all I'm going to do is just open Twitter here, all right? And then I would just go, let me just go to my profile. There's a lot happening here, so I won't play that. So as you can see, I'm streaming live, so you can see that here. But just keep an eye on this whilst we do this. So all I'm going to say is that when I activate this flow, so this is Twitter, the Twitter connector, and you can see there are triggers. Because now I'm in an action, this is one trigger from Twitter. When a new tweet is posted, okay, that can be a trigger to say when someone tweets, what do I want to do? All right, I could send an email, I could send a text message, I could do anything. All right, so to make this, let's say, very basic and very simple. All right, I can say that anytime I trigger this, just tweet. So this time I want an action, not a trigger, because the trigger is a manual step. So I'll probably want to say, let's just say anytime we do this, just post a tweet. All right. So you click this and it will ask you, you want to connect, use a default shared application. Oh, well, yes, I can use that. So let me just sign in. So this is going to go off and do that OAuth authentication. So I can actually tell Twitter that, hey, allow Power Automate to use. Yes, let's do that. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, so we're going to log in and we're going to test this, and then we'll build our own connector. So don't worry. We use so here I'm just going to move this off the screen and just enter my credentials. And then I'll authorize the app. And then once the authorization is completed and accepted, it would now allow this flow to use Twitter to do any of the actions there in Twitter. I have this very aggressive. Let me actually quit this. I hope you're getting a very good stream quality. For those watching on all the platform, I hope the audio is great, the video is okay, and you can also see properly stuff that I'm doing. So let me know. Just put in a comment if any of this is not giving you a good experience where you find yourself. All right, waiting for that. Seems to be a bit slow, so bear with us for a moment. Now, whilst that's happening, let's do this. I'm going to go to, I think I have I really love this API. Let's see the numbers API. It's just, yeah, I think this is it. It's just a very simple API, right? It's a very simple API that, when you call, returns, depending on which one you call. Like for instance, some can return a random, fact about a number you enter, all right, and some too you call it, you just get a random trivia. Like for instance, here if you click random date, see what it just randomly and tells you October 10th is the day in 1945 that the Chinese, like, I just like, awesome, awesome, thank you, Shadrach. So I just like I just like to use it. So whether you want random trivia or you want random, any, you can use any of it. So for the purpose of our uh, for the purpose of our custom connectors today, we're going to use, all right, we're going to use this. So you see, and this doesn't take, it doesn't take any, it's just hit this. If you're using number, the type, trivia mat date, and the default, so you get all these things. It's not anything crazy. It's a very, very basic thing. There's no authentication. And then I'll follow up in a blog post or another episode where you can actually implement APIs or connectors that need you to have custom connectors. I'll give you an example. So if you're in Ghana and you're using something like Hoptel, all right, and so let's actually close this. I think it's having an impact on the stream, so I'm just going to close that for a while, and then we'll come back to that. So if you're using a service like Hoptel, all right, and you want to implement a flow that uses Hoptel to send SMS, all right, you can create your Hoptel is not on Power Automate. It's not one of the connectors listed, so you can create your own connectors and use them to do it. So let's go ahead, and then I think well, let me quickly show this. So as you can see, um, Twitter is now connected. So the Twitter text will be, let's do hashtag Power Series is on fire. All right. If you have not subscribed, do so now. And then let's do it. Let me put it here. PS. There you go. All right. So this is what I want to tweet. All right. So I'll save this, and that's pretty much it. So this is just Power Automate 101, basic flow. All right. So all we have here, actually, let me go here and say uh, simple post to. There you go. Yeah, let's save this once more. So this is basics, okay? Basics flow. One on just this is just one, it's just 101, flow 101, all right? So very basic. So now to test this, I'm going to go ahead and click test at the top right here. If you don't see it, this is it. It's just at the right, on the top right here. This right here. All right. If you hit test on the top right, it's going to allow you to test your flow. Yes, this is basically Power 101. So let's hit the test, and it's going to ask us whether we want to automatically, all right, or manually run the flow. In this case, we're running it manually, right? So I'll go ahead and then choose this option because we want to run it manually. Okay. So manually do this, save and test. Now, what has just happened is that it's gone ahead to, it will validate the connectors, and then if you hit continue, run the flow. Now, what's happening is that, yeah, you can see the tick here. The flow has run. So to validate this, I'll quickly go back to Twitter. And then if we go back and check, do you see that? Let me zoom this in so you see it. There you go. Power Series on fire. If you have not subscribed, well, it's also I said do so, and I'm saying so now. I'm going to delete this tweet any which ways. So as you can see, by just click of a button, it's sent to it's sent a tweet. All right. So that's how powerful this is. All right. I can go in and correct this, but that's not the purpose of today's session. So let's go ahead. Now that we know how basically it works, now how do we build custom connectors? We've agreed that we're going to use the mat. First of all, you need to understand the API. Okay, so if you go back to this API, it's very simple. This is the base URL. All right. Let's do this. Let me bring this here. Let's reset this. So there you go. So here, all right, this is the base URL for this API. This is it. numbersapi.com. That's the base. And then depending on what you want to do, you can pass the number and then the type. So the type is the number is the number you're passing, an integer, and then the type is whatever you're passing. All right, whether you want to pass trivia, math, and so on. Very simple. You can build connectors that do all of this. So to even make it simple, they've shown you here. If you just say numbers API random and you do trivia, you're going to get a random trivia. All right. So I think we're going to go with the random one. So it's the same thing. This is the endpoint. All right. So to create your custom connector, let's go back to Flow, and I'm going to go back here. Yes. And go ahead. Make sure that I'm in my solution, like I mentioned, so I can do a lot of how do you call it? I can do stuff like ALM, proper management, and then here I'll go to the top here, right here. At this point, click New and select another Cloudflow. All right. So let's do this, and then the Cloudflow. And this time around, sorry, we're not building a flow here. So we're actually going to do the connectors. So I can actually close this. Don't worry about that. Don't go to the Cloudflow. Yeah. On the side here, all right, on the side, you should see action items, my flows, create templates, connectors, data, all that. All right. Don't think that you go to connectors to create a custom connector. No, you actually need to be going here, data, right? So let's go ahead, open data, and then at data, you can see that right under data, right? You selected data, and then right under it, you see what? Custom connectors right here. Right? And that's what we want. We want custom connectors. So let's go ahead and hit custom connectors. As you can see right now, I don't have any custom connectors, so it's empty. So at the top here, top right, here, you can see new custom connector. All right, that's where I want to go. So let's go ahead and hit new. And then whether you're creating from blank, you're creating from, let me actually bring this up so you can see it. So you have the option whether you're creating from blank, you're creating from Azure service, which is in preview. If you are, you're importing it. Another thing you can do is also use an open API file definition, or you want to import from a URL, or you have Postman. You can actually, I think it supports just version 1 of Postman collections. You can go to Postman, create your API request and all that, and then import that into Power Automate as a custom connector. That also works perfectly. You can also now go to, if you have the files already, or the Open API files or collections residing in GitHub, you can also use GitHub. But in our case today, I'm going to show you how to create from blank. Subsequently, in a subsequent episode, I will show you how to create from all these other options. So create from blank. All right. How do I want to call it? I want to call it, let's say, numbers. So let's call it power numbers. All right. And then continue. Has to be unique. Now, yeah, it would ask us to upload an image if you want to. That's just formalities. I'm not worried about that. I'm just looking at the time. You can set all the description here. So says the numbers connector. You can give it any name you want. All right. We're not connecting by any on-premise gateway. So these are the options. Let me bring it here so you can see it before we continue. So we are not connecting by any gateway. For now, I think it's HTTP. So if you go back to the numbers endpoint, it's HTTP. So we'll just do that. And you see the host here. See, it's asking for the host. the host API, the host path. So if you go back to our numbers, if you remember, so this is it. So numbers what? API.com. So let's go there and then paste this here. Right? So that's the first step. And then you can always, go to the, and let me actually bring this here so you can see. So you can see here on the bottom side, you see next, that takes you to the next step, which is security. But then for this particular API that we're using to create the custom connector, there isn't any security associated with it. So we can go ahead and then hit next and go and just skip that. Now, so the steps are the general, the security, and you define the actions and then you test it. You can also switch to a Swagger editor. If you're familiar with APIs, Swagger is just an editor that allows you to define open API structures, right? For now, we're not there. We're not worried about that. So let's go to security. Right now, there's no authentication. We can leave it the way it is. But let's see. We can have options here. So I can show you all the options. You can have no authentication, basic authentication, API key, auth. So almost all your API scenarios are taken care of in this situation. So in our case, ours has no authentication. So we go to definition. This is where all the power, all the cool stuff happens. So let me go up here and show you a few things. So actions are the various actions the connector exposes for you. All right, like for example, if you look at the numbers API we're trying to use as a connector, we can get trivia, we can get how do you call it? It's a trivia. We can get match. We can get different things. So we can create actions that give you all that. Then triggers, like I mentioned, triggers are kind of like the catalyst or the events that happen for a flow to begin or a flow to start. You can also create triggers, but for the purpose of today's session, we're only doing actions. Triggers will be next week. So if you like it, subscribe, get a notification when we post on triggers. So to do it, I'll just go ahead and click new action. All right. So what's the summary for this action? Let's take a trip back to our numbers API. Let's start from here. Okay. Let me actually bring this in view. So what I want us to do is let's create one to get random trivia. All right. So or random year, or so we can have an action for get random trivia, get random year, get random date, get random math. All right. So we can do for all of this. And if you look at the path, it's just random and then trivia. All right. So random and something. And then we'll create one that allows us to provide input and then we get the response. All right. So what we want to do is that I want to create this so that when 10 minutes, I know we just have 10 minutes, but bear with me because we didn't start on time. I'm going to spend an extra 10 minutes so we can finish this and test it. So the goal is that we're going to use, I can actually use one of these flick buttons to do that. So I'll show you how cool it is. Or we can just do it manually and then subsequently can do so that anytime I trigger it, I'm going to get a random, okay, I'm going to get a random trivia, all right, and then append hashtag power series and then post it on my Twitter page, all right, so that's it. And then I will try to create one that allows me to post a number. So we can even redefine it that if you tweet at hashtag power series and then you include a number, what's going to happen is that we're going to take that number and then run it through our API. That's going to be on subsequent episode, and then we'll retweet that number to you, with the code for that number. All right. So interesting things going to happen. If you like it, subscribe. So let's get into it. So let's start with random trivia, and you can see this is what we need. All right. This is all we need. Random trivia. We need to get this and add it into our connector. So we're just going to do that today and build upon it. So with that said, let me copy this. Okay, and you can always update the connector and reuse it. So don't think that once you save it, that's done. No. All right, so let's go back here. And then, so in this case, it's get random trivia. So we can call this get random trivia. All right. And then here you can give it any description. Get a random trivia from the numbers API. Something very simple, all right? Then what name? So here the operation name. So these are the things you need to provide: a summary for how your name is seen, and then the description, and then the operation ID. This is how you're going to relate or reference it when you see the API. All right. So here I'll just say I'll call this get random trivia. All right. That's it. Okay. And here, so once you've done the general part of it, the next part is to provide. Let's go ahead. The next part is provide the request. All right. What you're seeing here, you need to provide the request. Now, Power Automate allows you to generate request and response in two ways. If you have a default response, all right. If you have a default request, let's say file, you can import the sample of that request and it will generate it for you. If you don't have that tool, you can just click on add and then create your own request. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. We don't have anything to import. So let's go ahead and define that. So we don't have anything to define here. So if you had, you would just go ahead and pick it from here, like paste it here and then it will generate. And always make sure you're referencing this. So if you look at the structure, it says what? We just hit it. And if you look at this, I can actually copy the whole of this. You see this? Let me show you this. I can actually copy the whole of this, and then let's open a new one. So numbersapi.com. So I can do this, numbersapi.com, and then slash this. And you see that anytime you call this, it just returns a number. So it's like a get. You can just do a regular get. All right. So all I need to do here is make sure, let me bring it here so you can see this properly. Yeah. So first of all, I need to specify the verb that I'm using. So in my case, we'll go for get, and then the URL, right, which is what we saw. I'll paste the URL here. And then if there are any headers, right, I can put the headers here. But I think this one, even if you don't, I think without the headers, it just returns, I think an HTML form, but we can look into it. Or you can actually provide a sample body of how it's going to return, and you're going to get that, all right? So in our case, let's go back here. Actually, I can just paste it here, right? So I can go ahead and do HTTP and do numbers API /random.trivia. Let me just check this here and just be sure that I'm getting the correct response, right? Okay, so let's go here and do this. So here again, we're just making sure that, we're just making sure we're getting the right things here. And there you go. So 104 is the atomic number of, whatever that is. So this is it. Very basic. It's just HTTP. All right. So I know this is working. So let me go ahead and paste this here. Let's go back to the default. Actually, you know what? Let's do it. No, sorry. The request, yeah, right here. So get, and then we'll, why is this? So I get, and then we click here, and then I paste it. All right. So this is it. This is just basically it. And then you hit the import, and then you see this. So it's telling you it's a get, and then it's going to call this endpoint. There's no query. There's nothing in it, and this gives you a random trivia. And then the response is just text. All right. You realize that when we call this, all we got was just a random text. All right. You can, if you like, you can inspect this and see if it's coming with a JSON or anything like that. That can happen. You can actually find that information on the page. So you see, if we go in here, so they're giving different examples. You can call it, it's embedded. So these are just giving you, info. So for instance, if you call this, you can get a JSON response if you want to. All right. If you're doing a query and you're passing, a JSON, as you can see, you get a JSON object. So I don't want to do the JSON object. I just want it raw. So let's go back. And yeah, if you have any questions, just please add it. So let's go here. And then the response is, actually, let's go back and create a new response. So the response is pretty much, it's just um, the body. Yeah, it's really not a JSON. All right, it's really not a JSON response. So we can save this, and at the top here, one thing that really got me all the time was to make sure that you are always clicking on the create one, because it's the first time you have to click on create. Once you're done, it will be update connector, so you don't lose it. So let me go ahead and create it. And yeah, we can actually look at this critically. So if you look at this is a URL structure, and then you get this. We are not doing any query, so that's fine. And here, so this is the default we have. Uh, mm, mm. Yeah, so you can, as you can see, there we can actually include, if you look at here, and that's what I'm saying, it's very important to know or understand the JSON, sorry, the API you're using. So if you look here, it says that you can include the query parameter JSON or set an HTTP header of content type to application JSON to get the information in, in this format where you're going to get the text, and then you're going to get all these things. All right. So if we like, we can set, we can set this to get it in a JSON format. So, and here, this is where you can use, tools like Insomnia and all this crazy stuff to do it. So what I would do is, you know what, we can copy this and keep it somewhere. We'll come back to it. So with the get random code done, the next thing you can see here is it's like a test. All right. So let me go and test this and see, and something would happen. So, but just don't. Something might happen, but I will just leave that for us to learn from. Okay, so when you go to test, because it's the first time you're testing it, you see new connection. All right, so hit new connection, and that's just going to create an instance of your connector for you. And you realize that at the top here, it's changed to update connector, like I was saying. So now you see that now it's changed to update, not create. So now any changes you make is going to persist now with it. So with this, I'll just go ahead and say test operation. And let's see what we get. What do you think is going to happen? And check it out. Look at this. We get a response, right? It's just a plain text. 47 is the total number of balloons that a player can collect in Raywave's Nintendo system, something. If I test it again, it's going to give me something else, 60. So now this is working. This is just plain text. And you can see the tick mark here. That tells you that your connector is working. All right. So for the purpose of today's episode, I can say I'm done, click update, and my connector is done, ready to be used. All right. Ready to be used. So now we have 10 minutes. Let's see how we can use this. Let's do this. So once we save this, I now have a connector. All right. So I can go ahead and close. So the connector has only one action called the get random trivia action. So we can follow the same process and go back to our numbers API and create for stuffs like get random year, random dates, random month. You can create that. So we can create this connector and host it, and people can share it, can use it. So let's go. Now that we've done, we can close this. Now remember that tweet thing we did. Now look at this. It's called power numbers. And I mean, for the sake of coolness, if you want to edit it, you can just hit this edit button here. And let me go and open my icon app, Patreon. So if you are developing app that uses this platform, do you have to make request API? Do you have to make an API request to the connectors you created directly? Well, so indirectly, you don't need to make an API request to the connector. You just use it in Power Automate, and that's how I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to use a connector. So now we've created a connector. I'm going to show you how to use the connector in your Power Automate flows. All right, I'm just going to look for something like numbers, and then I think I like this. No, is it paid? Oh no. Let's see if I can get some, if I can get a free one somewhere. Let's see. But that one was cool, man. This one would have been really cool. But anyway, let's find one that, you know what? Let me do PNG. Yeah, there you go. So I can use this. So I can do this, save it on my desktop somewhere. All right. And then I can come here and upload and then go to my desktop. There you go. And look at that. Now and then make sure you click on update connector at the top. So now my connector Power Numbers has got an icon. I mean, it wasn't anything. We have what, 7 minutes. So the key thing here is we are going to use a new connector, and Shadrach, that would explain how to use it. So I don't need to make any API request. All right. So let's close this. So if you remember, let's go back to our solution. You remember when we started, I created a very simple one that when you click, it tweets and all that. All right. So let's go to Power Series. This time, I'm going to change it. All right. I'm going to change it, and we're not going to post to it. All right. So let's see. So you see that there is a Twitter connector added to my solution because I created the connector within the solution. So now all my solutions can share this Twitter connection that allows me to post on Twitter. All right. So we can change this sample post to Twitter. We can change it from just manually clicking to when a post is received. All right. If you hashtag, so here it will be, if you hashtag me, if you mention my name, or if you tweet at me, all right, you're going to get this. But for the purpose of this demo, we're just going to modify this. I'm trying to see if we can actually I can let you guys test it. So if you're on Twitter, we're going to test it on Twitter right now. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's modify this one first, and then for the sake of time, I will create a new flow that when you tweet at me, you get that random thing. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go and modify the flow. So initially, you remember that for this flow that we created, if this flow is run, what happens is that it just goes ahead and posts this this static message. So anytime you hit this, and even Twitter will not allow you to post this thing over and over and over again. So it will tell you it's duplicate. All right. So this, now we want to change this and make it dynamic. And now what's going to be the dynamic thing here? So this step here, so right here, all right. Let's do this again. So this side, okay, right here. So before the post of the tweet, we're going to call our connector, get our random trivia, and then post it. All right. So that's very simple. That's what we're going to do. So let me go here. Actually, now let me zoom in so you can see the step. So all I'm going to do now is to hit the plus sign here and then add an action. So here, at this point now, I can go ahead and start looking for so let's go ahead and type power. Where is that? Is it Power Numbers? Let's see. Where is that? This is strange. This should just pop up here. Let's go ahead. Let's see this. Let's make sure that sorry. Let's cancel this. Let's go to data and make sure that yeah, this is saved here. Yeah, it's here. Power Numbers. Great. So let's go back to my flows. And then, no, let's go to the solution so we know that we're calling the solution flows. And then Power Series. And then let's hit here and edit. So now, let's add the action again. Sometimes it just acts funny. Let's see. Where is our connector? Yeah, there you go. Look at it. Power numbers right here. So we click this and check this out. Do you realize that because we only have one action, all right? It is now showing just that one action, get random trivia. So we're going to click this, and you see that it's creating a connection for that. There you go. So at this point, we don't need any additional information. So we've connected it. So Shadrach, this is as easy, as simple as how to do it. So we've just used the connector in here. If we had created or added other actions, you would have seen that here. So now we're going to post a tweet, all right? And what's the tweet we are going to post? So instead of doing the whole of this, I'm going to wipe this out and then say what? Dynamic content. And do you see that? What's the dynamic content here? It is going to be what? The body of the get random trivia. So click this, and that's going to give you the body. And at the end of the body, I want to do this hashtag power series. All right. And then I can say, yeah, we can just say hashtag power. That's it. That's just that. Let's keep it very simple for the sake of time. We have just 2 minutes. And then we'll save. All right. So that's it. Once this is done saving, that is it. So our flow is as simple as it's a manual trigger. Okay. When we trigger this flow, it gets a random trivia and posts it to our Twitter line. All right. So I'm going to bring my Twitter here. And then let me go to my home. Actually, let me just go to my profile here. Once this is done saving, that is it. Stop this so you don't get any gecko. Sorry about that. So with this here, all right, I'm just opening my Twitter so you can see it come here. So I'm going to go ahead and test this again. So manually save and test. And I realize that anytime I call this, all right, all my connectors are okay. Anytime I run the flow, you see, and the good thing here about if you've not used flow before, you realize I see the tick marks. It shows you all the steps have run. And if I expand it, you see the output. See the body that came. 276 is the highest number of rounds in boxing history. And then this was tweeted out. So you see, this was tweeted out. This was it. All right. So now let's check if this really went to Twitter. So let's open this up. And then let me refresh this. And then look at this. Isn't this just awesome and beautiful? Right here. Check this out. Check this out. Do you see that? Let me actually make it even bigger for you to see. Right? Do you see it? 276 is the highest number of rounds in the boxing history, blah, blah. So this is now automated. So in less than 10 minutes, I have built a flow using a custom connector that always gives me a random thing. So if I wake up in the morning, so here if you have like some motivational API and you just want to blast it to the world, you could do something like this, and you wake up in the morning and just click a button and then it just does this for you. To let you know that this is not anything pre-made, I'm going back here. All right, I'll go back and then run the flow again. Now right now I'm using manual, so I'm saying that the step here can be changed to say that I could put a schedule. I could say every morning at 12 a.m. do this, or every morning, every other day at whatever, I can do it. Or I can say that when I use like this flick button, anytime I press it, do something. So let's test it again and see if we're going to get another message, another dynamic number fact. All right. So let's run the flow. Done. And then let's go back to Twitter to check that. So let's refresh this. And there you go. Let me zoom in so you can see. So now we have two. The second is a typical minimum number of episodes in a season for a television program broadcast on a major American networks. Hashtag power series. So ladies, gentlemen, friends around the globe, this is how you build a custom connector and use it in a Microsoft Power Automate flow. And next week, I'm going to show you how to create a trigger which is triggered, which is something that initiates your flow based and a custom one as it is using webhooks. And then we're going to go ahead and build. I'll go ahead and build the same thing for the get other portions of the random trivia. Watch out for the random trivias on my blog, how to continue the rest. I'll share how I build the rest and also show how to create a connector that requires an API key and then also an input from the user. I'll show that as well on the show. But if this has been helpful and you want to see more of this, please make sure that you subscribe right here. Subscribe, hit this button, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, so that anytime I go live, you're going to have this to have fun with. So, this is why I leave you. Don't forget, we have a lot of cool stuff going. Swags like t-shirts, books, pens, kind courtesy Microsoft and the Power Africa donor in your team. Thank you very much for this. So yeah, if you want to get a copy, join the channel, subscribe, share, and be watching out for the cryptic things that's going to happen at the back of my cabinet. With that said, people, enjoy the rest of your day, and then new week, be smart, be positive, go into the new week with, open minds, be ready to do good, love one another, and let's make the world a better place. With that said, I am out.